Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Curcio and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. I have another box to share with you today, and this one's bigger since many of you asked for a larger size. This one is 4 by 4 when it's finished, and you're really going to enjoy learning how to make this three-dimensional large flower that actually adorns the top of this box. Let's get over to the stamp table and let's get started. When finished, this box measures 4 inches by 4 inches, which in my opinion is like the perfect size. You can get some really great things in a box this size. I started with a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock, and this measures 10.5 by 5 3/4. I'm going to put all the cutting and scoring dimensions on my blog. Once I've cut it, we're going to do some very easy scoring. With the Stampin' Up! Trimmer, the light blade is for scoring and the dark blade is for cutting. Since we're not going to use that, I'm going to float that to the bottom. On the outside edges, we are going to score on all 4 sides at 1 inch. Now, I prefer to hold the 1 inch mark here versus doing it this way, since there's such little paper to hold. This way, I've got a lot to hold on to. So here at the 1 inch line, and I love the printed black grid down here to make sure it's straight, I'm going to score at 1 inch. I'm going to open, turn, and do the same thing on this side. So 1 inch. One direction to score, and the other long side, and this one here. So now we've got all 4. Now the last 2 score lines are going to be here in the center on the long side. So we're going to do 4 3/4, which is here, and we're going to move over to 5 3/4, which is here, and that is it for the scoring for this box. We're going to do some snipping to create flaps to put the box together, but to do that I always like to score on those lines and crease them first. I find it's easier for me to see them, especially as I'm getting older, boy. So I'm going to use my bone folder and I'm going to go all around those lines we've just created on the trimmer with the scoring blade. I'm using my paper snips, and we are going to snip the first score line up to that center line, so just to the next score line on the pattern, and you're going to see it creates small tabs. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Alright, so now we have all of our tabs. These are equal, so it doesn't matter which one you make, the top or the bottom, but whichever one it is, that's where we're going to do our stamping. So I'm going to stamp a little bit of a design on the cover. I'm going to be using this image from Bordering Blooms from the annual catalog. Love that it's photopolymer, especially with a 3D project, so you can see exactly where it's going to go. And I've decided to use Versamark ink, which is just a tone-on-tone watermark. It's going to be really subtle, but yet it's going to be visible. I am going to tuck this flap, which is going to be the front, down underneath, and I'm going to stamp across here. Now, on my original box, it did hang over, and I was totally fine with that because it'll just be prevalent on the sides. So I'm going to take the Versamark and I'm going to ink it this way. The stamp is larger than the ink pad, so you're going to want to ink it in this direction so you don't miss. And then I'm going to line this up here, and I'm just going to press out my image. Firm, even pressure. And you can see it's left a very faint pattern. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side, because again, this is the top of the box. And that's going to get stamped along the edge here as well. So now we have a decoration on the top of our box. One thing about Versamark, you're going to want to make sure you clean it on your stamp and scrub right away. You don't want to leave that on your stamps for any period of time. It does have a little bit of a sticky residue. It doesn't hurt anything, but you don't want it to dry and stay on there. So I use my stamp and scrub, and I make sure that I get that clean using my Stamp and Mist. So let's do this. Now that we know this is going to be the front, we're going to create a small notch here using the 1/2 inch circle punch, and this is just going to be for us to be able to open the box. So I'm going to come in just a small amount to create that notch. I'm looking for equal space visually here and here, and I'm just going to pop out a small little piece here to make a notch. Now we're going to add our tear-in tape, and I love this for 3D projects since it's nice and strong. You're going to go ahead and you're going to lay 2 pieces of tape per panel. So here, put your fingernail and pull, and then another piece here. and pull. Now, all those tabs that we created are going to get these because they're going to be put together to make the box. And I'm going to do another one over here. And I'm going to do the same exact thing on this side. All these products can be purchased in my online store. And when you head over there and place your online order, I'm going to send you a free featured project PDF tutorial. I do not require a minimum order amount to send that to you. It's just my way of saying thank you. I also provide frequent buyer points. And every time you put in a sale of at least $25, you're going to earn points. And when it's redeemed, you're going to get free product. So I'm going to push all these down because I want to make sure that the tape is burnished well into the cardstock so that when I go to pull the paper off, the tape is actually not going to come with it. I like to use my paper piercing tool to help me get that paper backing off because my nails are short. So I'm going to take these off. Now, I don't take all the tabs off at one time because then I have a huge sticky mess. So I'm going to put the two raw ends together. So now we've created a corner. We're going to do the same thing on this side. And the raw ends together. And then this is going to be the back side of the box, so we're going to do the same thing here. I don't know about you, but this size box is always a size I seem to need and I don't ever have. It's, you know, shirt boxes, I've got those lying around. I don't know about you, but I recycle those from Christmas. This tab is going inside again. And then this one's going to come here. All right, so this, of course, is the lid. So now these two are going to make the corners of the lid. So we're just going to lift this off. So there's the front, and then one more here. And that's going to come to the inside as well. Okay, so now look, our box is already finished. The notch, of course, is going to go to the front, and these are going to go to the outside edge. And look, isn't that adorable? Cute and easy. But it's not finished yet, and I can't wait to show you how to make this 3D flower. I'm going to use several punches. This is called the Fun Flower Punch, and this is the Blossoms Bunch Punch. This one's in the Occasions catalog. This one's been carried over. Lots of fun, and they go really well together. I'm going to show you. I'm going to use a piece of designer series paper. This is from the Neutrals Designer Assortment. All of our designer papers are double-sided. My original box, which is here, I used paper that's striped on one side and flowered on the other, but I ran out. So you know what? We're going to change it. That's the beauty of this. So I'm going to create a couple of these. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to punch 4. And you see these little points here? That's what the designer paper is getting stuck on. So I just need to pull it out and reposition it. Okay, so I've got my 4. And then I'm going to use the Blossoms Bunch, and I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to punch that here. So here's what we ended up with. Now we're going to do some crinkling. So I'm going to take these. You can put them all together if you want to save time. And I'm just going to crinkle them up. I know, it probably is upsetting you, right? But don't let it. I'm going to have a tip video coming up in the next few weeks that's going to show you how to actually make crested and formed flowers. And you're probably thinking, what is that? Well, I'm going to show you a way that you can actually form these and they'll stay that way permanently with just a fun little remedy, fun little tip I'm going to share with you. Okay, so now they're crunched up, and I like that because it's going to give it some texture. It's just not going to be so flat. And if you don't like it, you don't have to crunch them. So I'm going to unfold these carefully. I don't want to lose any petals, although I know they're probably mangled a little bit, which is fine. That's going to give us that texture, create a little bit more realism to them. And then here's the last big one. Now those small ones, I think I'm going to do something interesting. I'm going to alternate these. I'm going to use one with the opposite side. And then I'm going to use the other two. I'm just going to flip the patterns around. I think that's what I'm going to do. All right, so we're going to put these together. And you're going to see how I'm offsetting them. They don't even have to be perfect. I'm going to use my Pierce mat. I'm going to lay that on there. Now, I've got this one. That's the opposite pattern. This one's got my polka dots on it. And this one's got my opposite pattern. You're going to need to have a mini brad or a candy dot base. Either one's going to work well. I'm going to have that ready for me. I'm going to pierce a hole in the center of this. Here's the great thing about the Pierce mat. While you get your brad ready, it'll hold it all in place. and pull that out. I'm going to set my brad right inside of there. Great thing about the Pierce mat is it holds everything in place for you. And then I'm going to open up the prongs to the back. So now my flower's together. The next thing I'm going to do is just give it a little bit more shape because I want to make sure that it's got some texture to it. It's not just boring and flat. So that's what the crinkling has already started to do for us. And the great thing about the brad too is that you can swivel the petals to get the placement where you want them. So I'm pretty happy with that. On a scrap piece of smoky slate cardstock, I'm going to use the Cherry Cobbler ink. And I'm going to use the words that say, "My heart smiles just thinking of you." And this comes from the stamp set called Sweet Sayings. I'm going to use the Cherry Cobbler ink on the smoky slate. I'm going to stamp that there. Then I'm going to use the note tag punch. This is just like the perfect size for just about anything. Works great on cards too. I'm going to center that in there and I'm going to punch that out. This is the Smoky Slate Thick Baker's Twine. I really, really like this. It comes in several colors. Pull yourself off a generous amount. And I went around the box twice. Now, of course, you can use ribbon. You can also use designer paper and create a belly band. Bring this underneath, and I'm going to tie these together. And I'm going to tie them off to the side. Okay, and then I'm going to shimmy these up, and I'm going to separate them a little bit. And then I'm going to make a nice big looped bow. This doesn't even have to look pretty on the bottom. I'm going to use those loops to add some dimension to that. Now, my box is empty, so we're not going to press too hard. You're going to, of course, fill your box before you use it. I am using dimensionals, and I'm going to put 2 on the back of this flower, so on either side of that brad, just to help balance it on my project. When I'm doing 3D projects, I always make sure I'm using a little bit more of everything just so that it's going to sit well. And that's going to go on top of the box here. Okay, and then the tag. Well, you know what? There's a couple things you can do. You can add your adhesive, which is what I'm going to do, or you can add a glue dot. And I'm going to tuck that right up underneath here, and I'm going to press. And look, now we have our box. Isn't that cute? This is the pattern we did today with the polka dots, and this is the one I did with the stripes and the flowers beforehand. Which one do you like better? I don't know. I kind of like them both. Leave me a comment here and let me know. Your opinion always matters to me. I'm so glad that you've joined me today, and I look forward to seeing you again for another video. Have a great day, everybody.